So you're writing a mystery and you don't want anyone guessing your ending. Well, I've got a plot twist for you that readers never seem to guess, and it just happens to be really simple to fit into your plot too. We're going to discuss the amazing plot twist of time shifting. We're going to talk about 4 different ways to implement this twist, and we're going to talk about exactly how it always works to blindside the reader. To time shift an event means to change the character's perceptions of when it took place. For example, you can time shift the murder by altering the temperature of the body. In an episode of Columbo called Suitable for Framing, our villain covers the body of his victim with an electric blanket, which an accomplice removes hours later. This alters the victim's temperature, convincing the coroner that he died later in the evening at the same time when the villain was hobnobbing with socialites at a local art gallery. This gives our villain a perfect alibi. So this is almost always the motive behind time shifting a murder. By altering the perceived time of death, we can also alter the perceived pool of suspects. If the murder occurred at midnight, then we might say that the pool of potential suspects is comprised of those people who didn't have an alibi at midnight. But if everyone thinks that the death happened at 10, they believe that the pool of suspects is made up of those people who didn't have an alibi at 10. And that may be an entirely different group of characters. Another way to time shift a murder is by using a false attack. A false attack is a moment when witnesses believe the murder is occurring. In an episode of Monk called Mr. Monk Goes Back to School, a man is teaching class when his girlfriend falls from the clock tower across campus and dies. Our sleuth, Monk, is convinced that the teacher is guilty, but he has a perfect alibi, so how did he do it? Well, it turns out that he knocked his girlfriend out and then placed her on the long hand of the tower clock. As the minutes tick by, the hand begins to slope downward until gravity finishes the deadly job. Everyone hears her land, and this is our false attack, the moment when witnesses believe the villain has committed his crime. In fact, he completed it earlier. If you're enjoying this video and you feel like it's helping you understand how to construct mystery plots, please take just a second to hit the like button. And then let's talk about another method of time shifting: altering the signals people use to mark time. Clocks are the most obvious signals that people use to mark time, and a villain might change all the clocks in a house to confuse its inhabitants about the time. Another way that people mark time is with the scheduled or predictable activities of other people. For example, when I hear the school bus rattling through my neighborhood, I know it's about 7:20. If another large vehicle, maybe a moving truck, rolled by outside my window, I might become confused about what time it was. Before the advent of streaming, television was a major signal people used to mark time. Oh, is the Late Show on already? I didn't realize it was so late. In an episode of Remington Steele called Stronger Than Steel, Jennifer Davenport is a movie producer who is working on Atomic Man the Movie, a full-feature film remaking a campy 50s superhero show. Jennifer wants to kill the movie's director because he's cutting her out of the movie and out of his love life as well. Fortunately, she has the perfect patsy, Max Donahue, the man who played the original Atomic Man. He's so angry that the movie role has gone to another actor that he's threatened the director in public. The first step in Jennifer's plan is to call Donahue and tell him the director wants to meet with him and that he should come to the studio in costume. When he arrives, she denies he's ever been called, mentions the threats he's made, and tells the security guards to eject him. Then she sets the clock in her office forward a few minutes, cues up her VCR, and asks the custodial worker, Hazel, into her office. She draws attention to the time and starts the tape at just the right moment for Hazel to think they're watching a scheduled broadcast. After 10 minutes, Jennifer asks Hazel to leave and springs into action. She dons an Atomic Man costume, kills the director, and runs out of sight. Everyone assumes that crazy Max must be the killer. So notice here that Jennifer hasn't time-shifted the murder. The murder is known to have occurred a few minutes after 11. What she has time-shifted is her alibi. When we time-shift the alibi, we don't change the entire pool of suspects. Instead, we just lift the villain right out of it. But practically speaking, the results are the same. The two events appear simultaneous, and the villain doesn't seem to be a suspect. To explore our last time-shifting tactic, we're going to look at an episode of Monk called Mr. Monk goes to Vegas. Casino mogul Daniel Thorne leaves his penthouse with his wife, Cheryl. When they get to the lobby, Cheryl notices that she's missing the tickets for the fundraiser they're attending and says she'll nip back up to the penthouse to get them. And then...
Cheryl, your scarf is caught. Cheryl!
Daniel! When Cheryl reaches the penthouse, the cook finds her dead. Police Captain Leland Stottlemyre is certain that Cheryl's husband killed her, but her husband was on the ground floor with several witnesses, so how could he have done it? Well, Cheryl wasn't Cheryl. This is the fourth way I know to employ the time-shifting twist: impersonate the victim after her death. On the fateful night, Daniel and Cheryl entered the elevator together, but only one of them made it to the lobby. Daniel killed Cheryl. Then his girlfriend/accomplice joined him by making use of an access panel. They hoisted Cheryl's body onto the elevator roof, and when they reached the lobby, Daniel's girlfriend pretended to be Cheryl. When she re-entered the elevator, she pretended to be choking, then quickly replaced Cheryl's body and got out of sight. Notice that this plot employs both the impersonation tactic and the false attack tactic. The moment when witnesses are certain the victim is being murdered, in this case when fake Cheryl is in the elevator pretending to be strangled. You can mix these tactics up any way you want to create a unique, irresistible mystery. If you love time shifting like I love time shifting, there's one more tactic that you're going to need, and that's using a time-shifted incompetence alibi. Very tricky. I did a whole video on incompetence alibis where we explored how it's one of the best ways to hide your villain in plain sight, so you might want to check that one out next.